Hello and welcome to Cage Club. Two fans, nearly 100 movies, one cage. This is episode 103, Grand Isle from 2019. I'm Mike Manzi.
And I'm Joey Lewandowski. And Mike, this is our 5th month in a row.
5 in a row, baby.
With a new Nicolas Cage movie. We are here, Grand Isle. I'm going to say one of the more fun ones of the year.
Oh yeah, definitely on the top of the list.
Don't know necessarily one of the better ones or not, although it's been a mixed bag of a year.
This falls into maybe a new category for us, but I think there's a reason why.
It's a fifth tier?
Not necessarily, maybe like a half a tier.
Okay.
I'm going to just come out and say house films, movies that take place in a house with like 2 or 3 people.
So I thought for a long time this was going to be like Trespass 2.
Right.
But
right.
it's not. It's not.
Or Inconceivable 2 or something.
I don't know if you saw my review on Letterboxd, but this is essentially, before you summarize the plot, it's like Trespass meets Inconceivable with a little Zondali.
Oh yeah, the Zondali.
And that's the movie. With hints at supernatural stuff that is never addressed.
Oh, okay, so I ended up having time to rewatch this last night after I watched Elvis. I rewatched this before bed.
You watched it twice yesterday.
So I watched this twice yesterday. I was definitely picking up on those vibes. They should have been immortal. What's up with that?
So they say at one point, they're talking about their love, their one another. It's Cage who plays Walter, Mr. Walter.
Mr. Walter.
And his wife, whose name is Fancy.
Fancy.
They say something along the lines of like, we've been married, today's our 10-year anniversary. We've been together much longer than that. What feels like multiple lifetimes. I was like, are they vampires?
And they say it like this.
They are not vampires.
Multiple lifetimes.
I was like, are they... And I don't want to jump ahead and spoil your plot summary, but eventually we find out that they have been capturing people and keeping them in the basement to grow babies.
But not to,
but not to consume their life force.
No.
Just to have babies because she can't have babies.
Yeah. It's like that one horror movie we really didn't like, Don't Breathe. It's like a real Don't Breathe situation in their basement.
Yes.
Not draining their life force to live forever.
Before we go further, before we talk about tears, before we talk about anything, please give us a quick plot summary of Grand Isle 2019, directed by Stephen S. Campanelli.
I will attempt this. So
it is both straightforward and wildly complex.
Yeah, I'm not going to go in the order of the film. I'm just going to try and form an order on my own here. So it's about this guy.
I was calling him Buff Slow Joey because he looks like a ripped.
I was calling him not Colin Farrell.
Okay,
but I think his name is.
How old is he? 25? What is
he can't be more than 25. This is a very young pup. His baby's sick. Newborn baby's got the cough. His wife hasn't had sex with him for 6 months.
She doesn't feel sexy.
She doesn't feel sexy after the baby.
Even though keeping it right and tight and looks beautiful in this movie.
She's gorgeous. So he's a handyman and he goes to work for Cage fixing his fence. We'll get into why he's fixing the fence, but he's fixing the fence. Then a hurricane rolls in, so the handyman.
Which is not set up until it's just like hurricane.
All of a sudden, a hurricane happens, so the guy has to stay over at Cage's house with him and his crazy. Oh, because his car won't start.
Exactly.
But we find out. I think we find out they dismantled his car in order to get.
But they don't confirm that.
But there's no confirmation. There's zero confirmation going on in this movie on anything. There's just full commitment.
Yeah.
He is forced to stay overnight with Cage and Fancy. They are sort of pitting him to help kill each other, sort of, kind of. Cage wants him to kill his wife, then the wife wants him to kill Cage, and then he tries to pit them against each other. Something don't look-ish is going on in the basement.
Although, I don't think that was the plan at all. I think that was just like a game they were playing, because I think by the end, they don't want to kill one another.
No, it turns out that they're just fucking with this kid. I don't know why they did.
To what end?
I don't know. They didn't strap him up in the basement and try and force him to make babies with anybody.
Yet.
The guy woke up on the side of the road in a tore-up pickup truck with a dead body next to him, and that's what Kelsey Grammer comes into the picture. Although he's been in this story all along, you just don't realize it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a wraparound that comes back together in the last 15 minutes of the movie. He's interrogated. He convinces Kelsey Grammer to go back to the house. They go to the house. There's a really great scene of awkward silence for like 5.5 straight minutes while they search the place. They find a house of nightmares in the basement that we never see.
We just hear noises through doors.
Cage says maybe one of my favorite lines in any movie ever, where he says, "Officer, my cat's in the tree. Can you shoot him out for me and get him down?" And then he takes off in his car. Maybe he escaped. The wife gets Fancy is put in a mental institution. A few weeks later, maybe a month later, the kid that was helping the guy was down on his luck. Like he's at a diner. Cage shows up.
In the meantime, he has slept with Fancy at the house
Oh yeah, we're gonna get
His
in.
wife finds out about it, and she leaves him. She takes the baby and leaves. So that's why he's down on his luck.
Yeah, so during the interrogation, everything comes out that he slept with Fancy and this and that, and the wife finds out, and
Because he's a horny dude.
he hasn't gotten it in
He's
6
gotta
months.
smash.
It's been 6 months, man. It's probably been longer if his wife's been pregnant too, So like a year and 6 months.
No. They had sex while they were pregnant. Absolutely.
She felt sexy pregnant, but not the way she. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, we'll get into that movie.
So he's down on his luck. He's
So
at a
he's
diner.
down on his luck. He's at the diner, and all of a sudden you hear Cage. No, just gunshots,
Yep.
just ring through the diner, and Cage is cleanly shaven in his Marine uniform because this movie, for some reason, well, the only reason it takes place in the 1980s is so that Cage could be a 17-year-old vet.
Do they establish the year?
There's a title card. Yeah, 1988.
Do we know where?
No, I'm going to say the Deep South.
Well, they met in New Orleans because she was a jazz singer and he
Yeah.
showed up, but we don't know. It's somewhere in the South.
It's somewhere in the South. You see, like, when they show the hurricane damage, it looks like modern hurricane damage, not from the 80s. Cage is in the parking lot holding the guy's wife at gunpoint with the kid in the car, and he's yelling all kinds of crazy shit about what he's been talking about a lot during the movie, about how we came back from Vietnam and they spit on us, and it's like, okay, this is all new. Like, I've never heard this in a
Fourth of
movie.
July situation.
Ultimately, what ends up happening is Cage commits suicide by police.
Suicide by cop.
Kelsey Grammer shows up, and they have one of the greatest tit for tats that I've seen in recent movies.
Wouldn't call it the greatest, but go on.
I was just so happy that they finally were like, "How you doing there, Nya?" And he's like, "I don't know, no." And he's like, "Let's go grab a beer there, Nya."
Well, one of the 2 bits of trivia on IMDb is that this is the first collaboration between Nicolas Cage and Kelsey Grammer, and they are in exactly one scene together for about 90 seconds.
Yeah, and Kelsey Grammer ends up helping to blow the shit out of him. He blows him away. Cage dies in a hail of glorious bullets. Yeah, and then we have that really weird end part where the handyman's I keep calling him handyman because I don't know his name. Bobby, Billy, something.
Buddy. Buddy.
He's healing in the hospital, and that's what Kelsey Grammer tells him about the nightmare in the basement. But we get it from Fancy's voiceover. I don't know. She says something, right? And then he's like, "Yeah, they were kidnapping guys and girls and forcing them to have sex with each other because they couldn't have their own kids, and they were trying to have like a family of weirdos."
We learn it from a news broadcast. There's radio news
That's
broadcast. They held teens in their basement, quote, and forced them to have babies against their will. The movie opens with Fancy as the Southern Belle opening a door to 2 knockoff Girl Scouts.
Yes.
Are we to believe that they are children that they've had, or are they just children that they've abducted? Because they come back in the end, and I don't understand the relationship to Fancy.
I think it turned out that they
abducted
those girls because this movie
Because they were found emaciated in the basement.
Yes, because this movie starts 3 times. But what's weird is why are they kidnapping children and
they
having new children?
Because they want kids, however
they just
can get
want
them.
kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make so much more sense if they needed their life
This
force.
movie is also mixed. The sound mixing is terrible, and there's so many lines of dialogue where I'm like, I get like 75%, and then the last word, like at the end, the wife says something like, "I always love magics," but I don't know if it's magics or not.
It almost doesn't matter. It's almost like about just the mannerisms and the way that their characters are carrying themselves. But there's like a few lines I wrote down. One in particular is like, Cage will let you know when he needs to be understood, and he's like, "When was the last time you had your cock sucked?" Like he'll do stuff like that.
I timestamped that one because I'm going to pull that audio because that is a great line delivery.
I mean, I can tell you're having problems at home. Now, an example, when was the last time you had your cock sucked?
There's a lot of mumbledness going on, and I was like, I don't care what they're saying. Like, I'm having so much fun without it.
I fluctuated between really, really enjoying this movie and like kind of being bored by it. I think in the end, like I said, aside from A Score to Settle, which I am incredibly biased because it has my name shouted over and over again, I think this was my favorite Cage of the year.
Okay.
I think what's nice about it is that it's a very compact story. It's basically just a 3-person, 1 house, 1 setting for most of it.
Yeah.
Although the movie starts, like we were saying, Southern Belle abducts the children. Then we have
breaking and entering,
a burglary. To what is it?
This is Cage's. I think it's just his character introduction that he wakes up in the middle of the night, grabs a gun, and shoots the burglar in the back.
Because the burglar sneaks in and tries to get out the front door. He's like, "It's locked. I don't know how to get out of here." And then Cage
shows up.
He runs out, and then that's when they break the fence.
Yeah.
Because he runs away, Cage shoots him, he falls through the fence. Is the burglary, does it have anything to do with the kids in the basement? No.
Not only no, I also thought when we cut, because next we're going to cut to the interrogation scene of the guy with Kelsey Grammer, I thought he was the guy who got shot.
I thought he was the guy who got shot, and then they're referencing Cage. I was like, oh, he killed Cage.
Yeah, and I was like, and then they start flashing back.
He's also talking about Fancy in the present tense, like she is, not she was. So I'm like, Fancy's still alive. Cage he's not talking about Cage. So like, oh, he killed Cage. I'm like, Cage's going to die. No. He's been captured. So
that scene should have been first.
Abduction of children that we don't see the abduction, just the Girl Scouts selling cookies, then burglary, then smash cut to Foghorn Leghorn Kelsey Grammer interrogating Buff Joey about murdering someone, but we don't know that it's the guy that he finds in the house, upstairs in the house.
The garage? I thought?
Don't know.
Not the basement. Yeah, because it turns out, like, he'll get knocked out with a frying pan at one point and wake up in a ditch where Kelsey Grammer finds him with a dead body. He doesn't believe this crazy story that we're listening. Like, the whole movie, Kelsey Grammer's like, why don't you tell me the story? And, and he hits the record button, and then your favorite thing happens.
An entire movie flashback. The entire thing hinges on the fact that he finds this guy maybe in the garage holding a scrap of fabric, and then they find out that just coincidentally this other detective, who we haven't seen all movie, is just like, hey, Kelsey Grammer, I just happen to remember, in the newspaper, there was this Japanese girl. She was wearing this dress. I think that's the fabric. Let's go ask him. And they ask, he's like, yeah, that's it. And they're like, cool, that's enough for a search warrant. They all go to the house. They have 4 cops go in, and they know to look in the basement, but they're like, they make a show of like going upstairs, going left, going right, and then they're like, all right, time to go downstairs. And 2 cops go downstairs, and there's the female detective who remembered the newspaper, and then there is, or the other cop or whatever. And so there's the 2 of them watching Cage and Fancy.
Yeah.
And then the 2 cops go downstairs, and then they basically disappear into a vacuum of silence.
Yeah.
And this is what you're talking about before. There's like 5 minutes of wordless. And then she's just like, I'm going to go take a look. And she goes downstairs, and she tells the guy, keep an eye on them, which I'm already like, he's outnumbered. This is bad.
And we know they're crazy.
We already know they're crazy. He doesn't necessarily, but also still, like, it's always like when you're driving at night on the highway and you see a car that's pulled over and there's like 4 cops, it's like, this must be something. It's like, no, just because like if a cop's pulled over, another cop pulls over just for backup or whatever. So like, it's excessive. But then they have 1 against 2, and they're on their home turf, and it feels like he's like a rookie cop. And then he starts to be like, well, maybe I should go downstairs. I'm like, don't leave everybody. And that's when Cage says the line about, my cat's in a tree, can you shoot it down? Can you shoot it down? Punches this guy.
Great move.
Runs to his Mustang, which we established he had a Mustang. He drives off, and Fancy's like, God damn it.
Yeah, and the Fancy.
They find the people downstairs, but we don't see the people. It's just like basically
we don't see any of it. We see like little evidence lettering and stuff, but it's so great because Cage is like, I ain't going down for your shit. And she's like, I ain't going to lose the house. And it's like, who cares about the fucking house unless there's like a Lazarus pit in the basement that you're like sucking the life force out of these kids with.
And so they go away, and then that's when all the sort of the dominoes tumble into effect. When everything, and like there's just like the unclear amount of time that flashes forward where it's just they let Buddy go, and then Buddy loses the wife, and he sort of drinks himself into a stupor, but then she comes back, and I guess presumably it's a happy ending, I guess? I mean, maybe. I mean, it's an ending. I mean, there's so many things that go on in this movie, though, in that house during that storm. Even before the storm, like, as soon as the guy arrives, Cage has an issue with him. He's like, I needed a handyman, but I didn't need, like, a hot one, unless that was the game. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Like, is he a cuckold, or are they fucking with this kid, and is this what they do? Because, like, again, maybe my favorite scene in any movie ever now, the kid's fixing the fence. Yeah. Cage is sitting on the porch, drinking a case of Blue Ribbon. Yep. He goes and he puts the bottles up on the fence. Upside down, like the empty, like the neck of the bottle on the top of each fence post.
And I'm like, what the hell is happening here? And then like a minute later, you see him on the roof
with a rifle
shooting the beer bottles.
Which are mere feet away from Buddy.
Dude, like a foot, like inches away from this guy. I don't know what it means. I don't know what's going on. Then Buddy gets all mad, and then Cage just goes, there you are. As if he's like trying to rile him up and find like the inner anger of this, like, I had no idea.
Well, because there's also like this Navy Marines rivalry that's never fully established, and he also saw some stuff on a boat, and Cage is like, I know what you saw, and the guy's like, A, how do you know what I saw? But B, I still don't know what he saw, other than like his friend was in pain or writhing around and he ran away. Like Cage knew this guy was a coward, but also, how does he know that?
Maybe he saw it in his eyes. I don't know.
But also, part of this is that the movie starts like when we get back to Cage and Fancy together, and she is, again, and I have an idea for a game that I later, because we talk about this a lot, especially you keep track of this, we had the Cage Club Revisited bingo. I want to go through and check off on the bingo list. I just want to keep a tally of like how many bingo things.
I have a few.
We had at one point, an attractive woman found him irresistible at one point, because they're married. She is beautiful.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
She comes down, she's like serenading him, she's singing to him, she's like, basically Happy Birthday, Mr. President, but like a song about their anniversary.
Yeah. And he
doesn't respond, and she lifts up his sunglasses, and he's asleep, and she slaps him in the face. And then he follows follows her upstairs, and she's in like this like nightie, and she turns around, she's like wearing a thong, like you can see her like basically her full ass, and she's just like, I want to sex you up, and he's like, I don't really, I'm too old, like whatever.
Yeah.
So then Buddy shows up to fix the fence, and she comes out in this dress, and she's like, oh, let me give you some iced tea, and Cage gets upset, but I guess that's part of the game. I don't know, because the whole thing is she is like, I want to fuck you while Cage is asleep. And Cage is like, I need you to kill her with cyanide because she's got blood cancer and she's about to die.
Yes.
And then he has the idea that they're both crazy, which he like pretty quickly is like, oh no, they're both lunatics. Because also at dinner, she's got his foot and she's rubbing it on his dick, across his jeans.
And they end up banging. He bangs
because
her
he goes
anyway.
upstairs, right? And then she's like telling him about her fantasy. Like she changes basically in front of him into this like very revealing nightgown. You know, I've never been with a younger guy. Here's my fantasy. Like he kisses me all the way down. He's in front of me. He opens my legs, and she's like pawing up his thigh. And she's like, do you want me to stop? And he's like, no.
6 months.
And then she like does like one more step. He's like, no, I gotta go. and then he leaves, and Cage brings him upstairs. He's like, look, my wife's dying. I need you to kill her. He comes back downstairs. All of a sudden, she's in the bath with candles everywhere, leg hanging out. He's like, okay, I'm going to bang her. And then she finds the cyanide.
Yep. And he's like, your husband hired me to kill you.
They pull a Shaggy, and they're banging on the bathroom floor.
That's true.
Because they're about to bang. Oh, that's right. They're about to bang, and then he trips over the footstool, and Cage wakes up and comes upstairs. And that's when they go up to the attic, where there's all the guns.
Well, yeah, like he goes downstairs to fall asleep on the couch, and then he wakes up when the thunder and lightning, and he wakes up to Cage watching him sleeping with a gun in his hand, and he's like, we're going to talk.
Yeah.
And that's when they go to the attic, and he tells him about Nam and everything. And he sees guns, and they're drinking, and then he's like, kill my wife.
Yes.
I'll give you $20,000.
After they sleep together or whatever, she finds the cyanide, they know, and then there's just like, it becomes chaos.
Yeah, it's the confrontation. Cage is like boarding up the windows because of the hurricane. Yeah, so she like stabs him in the hand, and then he punches her right in the face.
And he
Classic
eventually
Cage.
ties Cage up to a banister, and it's just like, lady, you're crazy. I'm out of here. I'm gonna take the keys. No, actually, I'm gonna leave. He's bringing the woman with her, right? Like
that was the idea.
Yeah, because I don't think he thinks that she's crazy. I think he thinks Cage is crazy because Cage wanted to kill her. But then that kind of breaks bad, and then you find out that like Cage is like, why did you stab me so hard?
Because he tries to go in the basement. Remember, Cage is like, well, tell him about your secrets. Why don't you tell him more about all your secrets that you're keeping? And she's like, you shut up about that. The basement. And then she starts like shooting at him. That's when he runs into the garage and finds the guy paralyzed. Oh my god!
I think he's like being just sedated. I think he's like, I don't know, paralyzed, but he's up to like an IV drip or whatever just to stay alive. And it felt like they were abducting, because he also looks military. Like he also looks like a young kind of military guy. Right. I guess they're breeding with a Japanese girl. I don't know. And then
there's something Vietnam going on with that Asian girl that they kidnapped. You know what I'm saying? Like Cage
it's very Watchmen. It's very in right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. So ultimately, what ends up happening is like right as Buddy's about to like escape, Fancy hits him with a frying pan.
Yes.
Unties Cage, and he's like, "Why'd you hit me so hard?" All that kind of stuff went about, I think. And then the guy wakes up in the ditch on the side of the road
in his truck with a soldier who was alive, barely alive, holding the scrap of fabric.
Right, not the guy who was shot in the back, breaking and entering.
Correct. I think that guy.
Different guy.
He probably they probably called the cops and just like took that away because that. I don't know.
Or they just buried it somewhere in the bog, Beggar's Canyon.
Pine Barrens of New Orleans.
Exactly.
One thing we have not mentioned is that this entire movie, until the very, very end, Cage is in mutton chops.
Oh, he looks amazing.
And he's also chomping on a cigar for most of the movie.
Drinking. They drink so many different types of booze in this movie. He drinks
mint julep.
He drinks a mint julep. He drinks wine.
Drinks like whiskey.
He drinks like the bourbon whiskey. He drinks the beers. Basically, every type of alcohol is consumed in this movie.
He's having a rough go of it.
And he's drunk, though. I mean, his character passes out like 3 times. Like, it's incredible.
And it's always in that chair. Like, he's just like, this is where I'm going to stay now.
He's got his pass-out chair. He's got the sunglasses. We don't see him shave, but he comes back at the end clean shaven.
Yes.
So it's like a half a point, I guess, for Cage shaves.
And I think that's because, like, I wonder if he's miserable because of the wife or if he, like, it's just, like, I don't know what the cause and effect is. You know, when she's serenading him and she slaps him and he goes upstairs and she's like, I want you to do what a man's supposed to do. You know, paint the house, mow the lawn, make love to me like a real man instead of sitting on your lazy ass and getting drunk all day. He like puts his hand around her throat. She's like, let's see if you got the balls to hurt me. It's just like, whoa, like they are. But I also don't know, is that part of the game too?
I think that's more of that's been
their
going on
actual
for
dynamic.
a while, I think. Like if Cage is impotent or something, like that's her way to get him hard or rile him up or try and get him like livacious. And I think that's what she's doing with the guy too, because at one point she's like, I want you to fuck me in front of him. And Cage is sitting there tied up. He's like, I don't want to see that. Like, that's not part of it. Like, that felt improv. I don't know.
The entire score is very Twin Peaksy. There's a lot of twangy guitars, which I guess is maybe just sort of south. I also,
Yeah.
I guess, in that sense, David Lynch sense, kind of a little bit Wild at Heart, but I don't want to compare this at all to Wild at
I was
Heart.
getting more of sort of that True Detective Carcosa sort of vibe going on here.
Sure.
You know, like...
Because not only do they hint at the fact that they're vampires, which again they are not, but she's got voodoo dolls all
Yes.
over the house.
Like used.
Well, she's like playing with one early on. I'm like, is that for Cage? And then there's just like a bunch of them.
And she's playing with it in front of one of them in front of the window in front of Buddy fixing the fence. So I was like, is she gonna conjure up some kind of thing here? And then you're right, there's like a lot of other ones. Some of them are upside down. It's like, is she trapping souls in these things and then using their life force to live forever? That would have been great.
I was wondering if there's two different kind of themes that I was wondering if this movie was trying to hit on, and I don't know. There's one thing, like, neither of the marriages are a good marriage. Like, the Cage and Fancy, the Mr. Walter and Fancy marriage is obviously dysfunctional, and the Buddy and his wife, who I don't know her name, is dysfunctional.
I don't think she's named, yeah.
Her name is Lisa.
Okay.
Their marriage is not doing well because she's going through her own thing, and it makes a little bit more sense, but she's also like overly aggressive toward him. But you could also say that he's not really respecting her, and he's also not around, and it seems like they're just financially struggling, and he's trying to hustle, I think, and she's like, I just need you to get a job. Like, I don't care what you do, but like, we need money.
Yeah, do something.
It's just, I was wondering if it's about marriage, but I was also wondering, like, is it an anti-war movie or is it a pro-war, like a pro-veterans? Like, I can't tell because like the messages are all over the place. But there's a lot of focus on military and service and veterans.
There
So
is.
I don't know what end.
But it's the 80s. I was saying, like, if this movie took place today, there'd be no difference. I mean, they're only doing it so that Cage could be a non-vet because they're so deep in the South that cell phones wouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? There's a hurricane anyway. It's like all these modern conveniences do not factor into this needing to be a period piece at all. I am flummoxed by all of the military integration into all that talk, all of that stuff, because it just seems so dated even to today's standards for movies that are coming out about the war now and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that Cage is playing a non-vet, you know, and kind of using that.
But you play like a Gulf War vet.
Exactly. Like, there's no reason that it's Vietnam specifically. Plus, I think he said he was 17. Is that possible?
I mean, he was 17 at best of times when he was afraid of going off to war. So
but
who
I mean,
knows?
I thought you had to be 18 to be drafted.
Well, the average age in Vietnam was 19, no, 19, because Paul Hardcastle told us that.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean,
So
that's neither here nor there.
All of the military stuff, I kind of, as soon as they just made the exchange early on, I was like, oh, I was a Marine and I was on the Navy. He's like, don't call me a jarhead. And I was like, all right, that's the last I sort of thought of it until he showed up at the end in his uniform. And I was like, he's trying to make a point again, just like Rambo did, right? Wait, he's doing the John Rambo speech again, and he does it earlier in the attic too. He's like, I came home, they spit on me, you know, and it's like, you were 17. Like, I don't know.
When Cage met Fancy describes him as an alluring mix of strange, courage, and hope, and I was like,
Whoa.
All right, that's
Wait,
fine.
that's like how you describe like Superman, strange courage and hope. Like,
News broke, I just texted you last night that they offered Cage to play Superman on the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which, I mean, please let it, I mean, it's not happening, but...
What's cool, just a quick one, I mean, because I geek out on that, they got Brendan Routh back to play the Superman he played in Superman Returns, but Brendan Routh also plays the Atom, so like he's gonna be playing two characters on that crossover, so that's great.
At one point, Cage asked Buddy, "Do you like a football, man?" He's like, "No, I like baseball." He's like, "Oh, soft sport." And I was like, "Of course he hates baseball because sculling went away because of baseball." So Cage's characters always hate baseball.
Cage did a great demonstration. Like, okay, so when he's telling him about the cyanide, was it cyanide or strychnine? Cyanide, right?
Yes.
When he's telling Buddy about the cyanide, and he's like, "You want me to use cyanide?" And he's like, "Yeah, you know, pour it on the rag, put it on the mouth," and he goes, and he's like an airline steward, like. Pour it on the rag.
You know that this is a good movie because sporadically throughout the movie there's just news broadcasts that are like, oh, we need to explain what's going on in the world.
Oh, you mean like another teenage boy was abducted? This is a lot of teenage boys that have been abducted.
Because they say that, and then the next note I have is that he finds the basement. He's like, what's in here? And Fancy goes, bad things. Real bad things. Just kidding. Don't go down there, though. And there's 3 locks on the door.
And Cage did that earlier to him when he said, he's like, you call me a jarhead, I might just have to like bash your face in. And then it's like, he waits like an extra 2 beats and then he's like, no, I'm just fucking with you.
I realized while watching this movie that the actress who plays Fancy, who's KaDee Strickland, maybe pronounced Katie, Kadee, capital D, is basically a brunette Nicky Whelan. Nicky Whelan from Inconceivable, Nicky Whelan from Left Behind, and Nicky Whelan from Dog Eat Dog, the trifecta of Cage movies.
Right. Oh my
That
gosh.
is just like this hyper crazy blonde in those 3 movies where it's just like, I'm here and I'm just bringing the crazy. Like, that's my character, I'm bringing the crazy. And here, feels like she's brunette, like she's just like, let's just have a ball with it. Like, this is like a soap opera horror movie. She's describing she can't have kids and she's like, medically. It's like,
I know, really? What other way?
emotionally? Like, yeah, like you wouldn't say I can't have kids emotionally. I mean, I guess you could, but she's like, I medically can't have children. It's like, yeah, I assumed when you were like saying we can't have children.
Never take a tour of a house from this woman.
You know what I do to myself when I fantasize? And I could probably guess.
There's some great lingering shots in this movie. There's one of the basement with all like the quadruple locks where she's like, "Oh, I'm just kidding," and then they sort of zoom in super
Well,
slow
there's
on
the
it.
one
And then,
where when the rain starts and he can't start the car, and he goes and he like his hand reaches for the doorknob, and it's like an extreme close up and super slow mo, and it's like, why is this a big thing? And then they smash cut back to Foghorn Leghorn. And he's like, so you went back in the house? It's like, wait, is that?
that's it.
That's like the revelation.
So then there's another shot when they're at the dinner table and Fancy's stirring the stew, and it's like this long lingering shot on the stew as if like she poisoned it, you're supposed to think. And then they're not even eating the stew. They're like
just
having
drinking.
lamb or chicken or something else and just drinking, and that's when he slams the mint julep.
Well, I think that's when you're supposed to be like, oh, there's something amiss with her too, but like just like let it happen.
But I knew it from the start. Anyway, and she's always singing those old songs and stuff. Like,
So it seems like Cage's big hang-up in this movie is that he was supposed to die with his team at Vietnam because he got
yeah, it's a Lieutenant Dan situation.
he got hurt. He got shrapnel. He was the only one who got hurt. They sent him home, and then 2 weeks later, his entire team went down in a blaze of
wiped-
bullets.
yeah, got wiped
And
out.
he's like, I should have been there with them. I should have gone down in a blaze of bullets. So, like, he's not mournful of like his time in Vietnam. He like wishes that he died.
See, that's the only thing that kind of throws off the immortality is that I could have died. I should have died in Nam. Like, I understand the idea, like, you live forever, you just want to die. But that it was such a specific moment in his life where he could have actually died. Like, he was in mortal danger, and, like, wants that again. And that's the
He's
only
just
way.
chasing that high.
I guess. And that's the only thing that really, that's the only string that pulls apart the whole, like, vampire theory really is, the Nam story. Like, if that wasn't in here, and he was just a maniac or something, or if that was a lie. I wasn't even sure if that was true until the end, and he comes back in
Well,
his
what
uniform.
I would love is that if they were a vampire and he's telling a story about Nam, but it's actually the Civil War.
Ooh, yeah, a little like True Blood
But it's not
action.
that at all.
Little Bill Compton.
He offers Buddy $20,000 to kill his wife. He's like, I know you got money problems. I know your kid's sick. Here's $20,000. He offers a bag of money. I don't know who's on the $100 bill on the top. It's not Benjamin
It's
Franklin.
like Princess Diana. It's like a Banksy
It's a
note.
Banksy money.
It's great early on when he's negotiating with the cigar in his mouth. He's like, "Oh, you're negotiating, man." He's like trying to talk with the cigar, and he's like, "I'll do it, but I can't do it for 200." He's like, "Okay, 350." I was like, "Wait, this is not a negotiation. You're just offering him more money."
Well, no, because he's like $200 or whatever, and Cage's like, I'll give you $250 if you finish today, and the guy's like, it's $350, goes $240, and then he's like, knows he's gonna keep going down. He's like, all right, yeah, that's fine.
Not Pawn Stars, it is.
When they go to the bathroom and Fancy's in the bath, she's listening to "Strange Fruit" by Billie Holiday.
Yes.
which is a song that Kanye sampled in "Blood on the Leaves."
Oh.
which is a song she says written by a white person.
Yes.
but it's about black people
Yes,
hanging from trees.
Right.
But that is not a theme that's touched on here.
No.
that is not a thing that they discuss about the song.
Ever.
It's just like, hey, I'm listening to a song about like the brutal history of the South, but we're not going to explain the song and we're not going to talk about it. She's like, this was written by a white guy.
So
Let's talk about something different now.
you know what this movie feels like to me a lot is that like the screenwriter gets to a point and just kind of, where can I take a left turn even if it doesn't make any sense? And he does that with the dialogue sometimes too, where it's like she just needed something to say at that moment. After they found this really creepy song, he probably did some research. It was like, oh, I'll use this as dialogue, which is why I also think originally his wife did have blood cancer. The whole idea was to kill her until like she finds the vial, and then I feel like the screenwriter's like, no, I've changed my mind. Like, let's make her not have blood cancer and see where this takes me. And then that's why there's like this very inconsistent, is it a game? Is it for real? Who's playing what? Who's playing who against who? There's no way to discern like a clear understanding of like what's happening.
Well, because I don't think there's consistent logic in any element of this, like at all. Like either narratively or consistent within a character or just what's happening from scene to scene. Because it does feel like you're right. Like just like now, this is the new story. Like this new scene. This is what the movie's about now.
It's why I also think that we keep cutting back to Kelsey Grammer, because otherwise,
it's just resetting things.
At one point in the movie, we would have just had 15 minutes at the end of Kelsey Grammer interrogating a guy, because the screenwriter's like, all right, now I want him to be like found on the side of the road by the cops. And so in order for the movie not to like come to this abrupt halt with a half hour left where we're sitting at the cop station, they broke it up and they put it out throughout the movie. And so we finally like loop back at the end to it, because otherwise it makes no sense to be cutting back and forth like that. They're not filling in any gaps.
No.
It's like, all right, so like you see him go up to the room with Fancy, and then they cut back and he's like, so you had sex with her? And he's like, I sure did. And then they cut back and they've had sex.
Yep.
So it's not like any new information is coming from these interrogation scenes. So
I mean,
bizarre.
I appreciate it because I understand like what they're trying to do, but I just think they probably could have done it in any better way. I don't know. There's a lot of windows that break in this movie. I mean, there was a hurricane, and so like what allows them to attack Cage is that he's boarding up the window, and then the branch breaks in. I think that's when she stabs or something, and then like. He gets knocked away. And then when they go upstairs, when they're chasing after him, there's like that stained glass circular window that shatters. And he somehow, like, I don't know, like the glass flies across the room. He's like 8 or 10 feet from the window, and he gets a gigantic shard in his back.
He is stabbed by the wind.
Yeah.
Like, literally the wind breaks in the stained glass window, and a huge shard just goes
like The
flying
Happening.
into his shoulder blade.
It's like The Happening.
It is like The Happening. Or it's like, why not have the house be possessed in the first place or something, like filled with the souls of all the people they've sucked the life force out of.
Have you seen Mindhunter? Did you watch Mindhunter?
No, that's the Netflix show.
Yeah, so it's about two or three, because it depends on how they go, but 2 or 3. There's 2 FBI agents in this like outside consultant who joins the FBI, who are profiling serial killers. Like they're basically like they establish in the course of the show, like they're amalgamations of a handful of different people, but they create the term serial killer, talking about these multiple murderers, these like sexual compulsive people or whatever. But there is a tactic that they use in that show, that they use in a lot of movies, where they're interrogating someone and then they stop the tape recorder and then they like say some real shit or whatever, right? And they do that here. Like Kelsey Grammer is interrogating, he's hearing the story from Buddy, and then he stops the record. He goes, I think you're a lying little motherfucker. And I'm like,
Oh, you know what else is amazing about the interrogation scene? Buddy is still had the shit kicked out of him. Like, he is bleeding on the floor the entire interrogation. Wouldn't they, even if it was like real life?
And like it's fresh. Like
it's fresh. And he's sent home like that. Even as he's being interrogated, they'd have a medic in there at least like wiping him down.
You also have to think about it. So like Cage beats the shit out of him, right? Presumably they knock him out. Hours go by and they put him in the car and they put him and the other guy in the car. They kill the guy. Put them both in the car.
Somehow start
they
it.
Drive. Well, they fix it.
They fix it.
They fix the car. They drive it wherever. Come back to the house. They call the cops, leaving a tip or whatever. Like, oh, there's a dead guy in the car. Cops go. They bring him back. They handle the other guy. They get the interrogation room set up. Like, this is hours and hours and hours, and he's basically still oozing blood.
Yeah. Fancy has no black eye from being punched as hard as possible by Cage in the face when the cops show up.
Because she's a vampire.
And there's no gunshots in the hallway, in the walls, from when she shot at Buddy from trying to get into the basement earlier. Like, the cops walk right by. There actually is one gunshot, like, in the, like, side of the doorway or something. And the cops, like, walk right by it and don't even notice it because they're amazing cops. I was like, the gunshots.
They also hired, and I don't know if it was a choice, I don't know if it's just the actor they have, but, like, the cops that they have, like, the most stereotypically hickish hillbilly voices. They're just like, well, gee, mister, like, we're here to search your house. It's like,
yeah.
Is that intentional, or is that just like what the actor sounds like?
Are they trying to match whatever's between Kelsey Grammer and Nick Cage, like those two accents? They're just like, do somewhere, you got a lot of range to work with, so just do somewhere between those two.
The last line of the movie, or the last line that Cage says at least, is that when he's about to get suicided by a cop, he's like, gunslingers, which was his Marines.
Yeah.
Gunslingers signing out, and he like pushes Buddy, pulls out a second gun, doesn't shoot any. I think maybe he shoots Buddy. Like, Buddy gets a
Buddy
bullet,
gets shot,
but
like,
it's
collateral damage.
But, like, I don't know how, because all the cops, like...
Dude,
I know this is an audio medium, but, like, Cage is here with Buddy, right?
Yeah.
And all the cops are here.
Yeah.
And they're all aiming this way. Cage pushes Buddy towards his car with his wife and the baby, and Buddy's, like, staggering backwards, and he takes a bullet here. So I guess Cage has to be the one who shoots him, because all the other bullets are coming from the front
that
way.
could be, yeah.
But, like, he doesn't shoot, but I don't see him shoot. It's just weird. Like, Bully takes a bullet.
yeah.
He's fine, though. And then all the other cops just blow Cage away.
The other crazy thing is, like, each cop, there's like 5 or 6 of them, they all unload, like, full clips. Cage gets shot 3 times. Like, he shot, you see, like, 3 squib marks on him, but they just
and he goes down
unloaded.
He goes down in slow-mo, but he also, like, puts himself down in slow-mo. He's just, like, like frozen. He's just like, I'm going to lower myself to the ground with the same face on me.
He had a great shot like that earlier when he was listening to the door when Buddy was upstairs on his back and, like, Fancy, like, used her heel to unbuckle his pants. Remember that? And, like, kicked the button under the door. And he kind of, so, like, Cage, like, just leans into the frame onto the door and just, like, leans back out of the frame.
Which, by the way, when we record the Viva Pod Vegas episode next, go listen to our Elvis podcast. There is, at the very end of Viva Pod Vegas, there's the scene where Elvis sticks his head out the door and just sees Glenda and Tex making out. I'm like, please let there be a freeze frame at the end of the movie, but there's, like, another, like, 30-second scene.
Yeah, he has to make out.
But, like, I know, but, like, I was just like, there's a lot of door work in these movies. The only other trivia that I had, there's 2 bits of trivia. Number one, first collaboration between Cage and Kelsey Grammer. The other one was that the original screenplay, better name because Grand Isle is just like the name of the island.
And there's another movie named Grand Isle, but this is not a remake.
No, the original screenplay was called Fancy, Buddy, and Mr. Walter.
So much better.
Which is a great name.
1,000 times better. It's so good. The one other thing that's bothered me too, especially after you got, like, not that you got this in my head, but second rewatch when I was really going after that, like, immortality thing. There's an eternal flame on their front door, you know, and I was trying constantly, like, there's some cult shit going on in this movie.
There had to have been in one version of the script that they were either, like, practicing voodoo or practicing black magic or were immortal
or thought they were,
because there are multiple references.
There's too many.
There is absolutely no payoff to any of it.
No, there's too much going on for it not to have been an idea at some point.
It's crazy.
I say they should have ran with that shit like that, because you know what it made me think of, and I don't want to spoil too much for listeners, but the end of Ready or Not. Right? Did you see that coming? Ready or Not? When
spoilers, if you have not seen Ready or Not, jump ahead like 30 seconds. Are they actually, like, is this actually, like, magic or is this not? And then they all just, like,
and it is.
Die.
And at the end, it turns out the devil's there. And I was like, that's fucking great. Like, they did that really, really well. And I was definitely like, there's so much room for that. And I was like, is that going to happen? Are we going to get to the very end and there's going to be like a seance and they're going to, like, stab this guy and it's just going to go completely into left field for the last 10 minutes or something? No, unfortunately.
Well, it's also kind of like, and I think that with the title like this, and this is also maybe spoilers, if you want to avoid spoilers for a movie that I have not named yet, skip ahead 15 or 30 seconds. But, like, The House of the Devil.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Where it's like a slow burn 85-minute movie, and you're like, is this, like, what's going on? It's weird. And then all of a sudden, she gets knocked out, and it's like, it's a seance. It's like, oh, shit. Yeah. Okay, so this was real. Okay.
I think I convinced myself of that movie, like, nah, this is not real. And then the movie was like, oh, yes, it is.
So we've established before that there are 4 tiers of Cage VOD movies. There's like, good movies.
Yeah.
Which is The Seeking Justice, The Stolen.
Yeah, straight up good.
Ones that are so crazy they're good, like A Score to Settle, like Inconceivable, which is like, I don't know what's happening. This is objectively probably not a good movie, but it's a lot of fun. There's ones that are just fine, and then there's the 211s.
Yes, yeah, there's the crap.
So this, again, I feel like most of the movies this year kind of teeter between 2. I think it's either the so crazy that it's fun or just an okay movie.
Just okay.
But I gotta go, it's so crazy it's good.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. I mean, as soon as I saw Cage and, like, the first line out of his mouth is something like, you just broke into the wrong house, mister, or something like that, and he had a gun and he woke up with grabbing the gun I was like, all right, I'm going to be fine this time. This is going to be good. Like, I have to backpedal a little about how much I might have liked Primal. That was the name of that, right?
Yes.
Primal. Like, that was still fun and everything. I still like that movie, but I definitely like this one more. Yeah, this might even, for me, because my name's not Joey, and it wasn't screamed 100 times.
Let's rank the 5 this year.
Okay.
So,
this is tops for me.
This is your number 1.
And then I'm going with Primal. And then I think I go in order of the release. So then
Score to Settle, Running with the Devil.
Score to Settle, Running with the Devil, and Kill Chain. Yeah.
So I'm going to say number 5 for me is Kill Chain. Like, I think
that might have to go bottom.
It's very bad. I think that's one of the worst movies that he's done in a while.
Several years.
4, I think I'm going to go...
Like, I just can't get Big Game Hunter Cage out of my head, too. You know what I mean? Like, Primal, his character is just amazing. So
I think 4 is going to be Primal.
All right, yeah.
I think number 3... Well, in terms of how well made the movies are, the quote-unquote best movie is Running with the Devil.
Oh, yeah,
It's not my favorite. If we're talking
No,
favorites,
but like film, as
yes.
far as like film language, like someone who knew what they were doing, it plays more like something that could have been in theaters. Out of all of them, that feels like the most theatrical, I'd say.
Especially because it has like a cast of people that you actually know.
Right.
You know what
Lawrence
I mean?
Fishburne, Mr. Pepper.
Like it's tough because a lot of these, like, I feel like we're
Well, they're all pretty much on the same level.
Yes.
Is the problem, you know? Like that's.
so I'm gonna say 5 is Kill Chain, 4 is Primal, 3 in terms of favorite is gonna be Running with the Devil, 2 I think would be this one, and then number 1 would be A Score to Settle.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think that this one, A Score to Settle, what I like about both of them is that they're very kind of small. Like, A Score to Settle is for the most part just him and his son.
Well, they're both. Yeah.
Again, does not exist. He's been killed.
See, I
He's
think
dead.
also if I didn't catch that earlier, that crazy reveal would have probably elevated it more for me.
Yes.
Oh, but what's interesting is that's another one of these movies where way at the beginning of the podcast I mentioned it falls into the subcategory of we rented a mansion, let's shoot a movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
pretty much what they did.
So we're both in agreement that this is the crazy good territory, which is good, which is important.
Best of the year for us.
Okay, let's go through the bingo checklist. I haven't gone through this yet, so there are, and this might take a little bit of time. We have
let's just
73 things. So,
well, which ones did you pick up? Like, did you write them down?
well, so I have the list. So I know. So let's just go through it quickly. Is there a Cage Club Podcast Network crossover? No, I don't think there's like. I think this movie kind of stands apart. Like Kelsey Grammer.
No.
I mean, Brian loves Kelsey Grammer, but like, sorry. Let's just go through it quickly. So no, a woman is attacked for sure.
Yeah, punch.
Accentuating the oddly specific word cock.
Oh, yeah,
sucked.
yeah.
Yes.
Cock. Sucked.
It's not an adaptation. Airplane Airport, no. An attractive woman finds Cage
Yes.
irresistible, yes. Another movie plays in this movie,
No.
no. Awkward sex scene,
Yeah.
yes. Bad accent, yes.
Yeah, oh,
Bad
yeah.
CGI, no.
No.
Actually, no CGI at all. Billiards or bowling, it feels like this is the kind of house that would have like a luxurious
None of
billiards
that.
table, no. Cage compromises a woman, no.
No.
Cage cries, no. Cage dies, no. Cage
Wait,
drinks alcohol.
whoa. Cage died.
Oh, Cage dies. Hell no.
Hell, a gun bar.
Cage drinks alcohol, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Cage drives,
Yes,
Not on screen. Oh, he drives
Yeah,
away.
at the end he drives away. Like a
Cage eats, yes. Lamb.
Yep, yeah.
Cage freaks out, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Cage grunts,
Oh yeah.
has a visible tattoo.
Yeah, I saw it. It's
Okay.
on his forearm. No,
Okay.
okay, now here's the thing though. When they dropped he was a Marine, I don't know if it was if his real tattoo or if you know what I'm saying.
But it's fine. It's in the movie.
Okay,
He's got a
okay,
tattoo. Cage in jail,
No.
no, because he's not going to jail. Cage producer Saturn Films, yes.
Yeah.
Exasperated broken man, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. On screen with an animal.
No, not in this one. That's crazy too.
Cage on the phone.
No.
Cage shirtless, no. I don't know if we're gonna get Cage shirtless anymore.
It doesn't look like that. He's kind of got the belly.
Cage top build, yes. Cage laughs maniacally.
Oh yeah. I was just fucking with you.
Oh, there is. I want to say that when Buddy shows up to the house and is like explaining something, like, here's who I am, blah blah blah. Cage just stares at him for like a minute and a half, and then just like puts a cigar, and goes, and walks outside. Cage shaves, not on screen. We talked about that. Smokes or does drugs.
Well, the cigar.
Cigar. Yes. Does he stand on anything weird?
Yes, he's on the top of the house on the perch on the thing shooting the.
Cage starts running again. Don't know that we're ever gonna have
don't think
Cage
he-
running again.
yeah.
Steals something.
No.
No. Stutters or hesitates.
I mean, I think yeah.
Accentuation stuff like that. Cage voiceover. No. Cage wears a hat.
Yeah. No hat in this.
Nope. Cage works out. No. Character has multiple names. He's like, well, I mean, he's like, don't call me Jarhead. Like he he's like threatens it. Crazy eyes.
Oh,
yes. When he's smoking the cigar.
Yes.
Dancing. No. Dramatic tonal shift.
Uh,
Yeah.
pretty much every scene.
Elvis or the Beatles. No. Explosions. No.
No.
Extreme facial expression.
Yo.
Yes. Flashback. Yeah. The whole movie. Gambling. No.
No.
Gift-worthy scene.
Oh, yeah. I think so. A couple.
Gold? There's no gold.
No.
Helicopter, no. Holiday setting, no. Las Vegas, no. Magic mysticism.
There should have been. We got to.
Oh, there's voodoo dolls. Montage, no. New Orleans, yes.
Yes.
Nudity,
Yeah.
yes.
We get them on the floor.
Yes.
Yeah. Very
Overreaction,
often. By the
yes.
way, no one in the history of the world ever woke up from sex the way that they're laying down together on top of each other strategically. Like,
Overt sexism, yes. Fruit, i.e. peaches or bunnies, no.
no. This would have been a perfect space for that.
Yeah. Red sports car, no.
No,
You got a
black.
black sports car. Religion or spirituality, no. Like this is sort of a religious. School, no. Singing, no. Someone makes a threat the entire time. Someone plays a musical instrument, no. Returns to another Cage film, no. I think it's all new people.
Yeah.
Title cards, yes. The beach, no. Time jump, sort of,
Yeah,
kind of.
I give it at the end there.
Titular line spoken. The news broadcast does say like a hurricane ravaged Grand Isle.
Okay, but Cage never says "Welcome to Grand Isle."
Twin Peaks connection. I'm going to say the twangy guitar sounds like Twin Peaks. Wacky wardrobe.
Yeah, no, but I do want to comment on that shirt he wears the entire movie. That definitely came from his wardrobe. He's wearing like a really weird sort of Texan. I equated it to like a modern sort of cowboy shirt.
War. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
X-Files connection. No. And that's it. So we have, out of a possible 73 things, 35.
That's huge.
It's a pretty big movie.
It's a big bingo movie.
So I think that's going to be a good thing to keep in mind. Again, it takes a couple minutes to do, but I think
That was
I
not
want to
bad.
because basically I want to know what's the most Cage Club Cage movie.
Okay.
35 is a pretty. It's
That's
our
up there.
bar. It's our bar to start. I do
almost
feel
half.
like as movies sort of like write themselves to become Nicolas Cage movies, kind of they're gonna fall into certain traps. Any other thoughts about Grand Isle?
It's 99 cents to rent on Amazon, so definitely watch this as soon as you can. It's a fun one. You don't have to go watch Kill Shot, but you got to go watch this one. You know
Kill
what I mean?
Chain.
Kill Chain. See, I didn't even remember the right.
What's
wait,
Kill Shot?
I don't know. I think that's another movie.
Deadshot is Will Smith in Suicide Squad. That's a different thing altogether. I do want to say, though, that since we last put out an episode, there is, I've not watched it yet, but there is a new documentary about the life of Anton Yelchin.
Oh, right,
That
yes.
Cage supposedly does the voiceover for the narrations called Love and Tosha, which I think is his Russian name.
Yes.
And so...
which would make this the 6th movie.
But I don't think it doesn't like that.
But we're not counting it like
We're not
that.
going to count it like that. We're going to talk about, I think we're going to, between now and the time that Colorado Space comes out, in January,
I can't believe
you and I will both watch Love and Tosha and Love and Tasha and talk about that on the next episode. But if it's out there, you can rent it for a couple bucks. It's apparently very, very good. I mean, we love Anton Yelchin. He was in... What was he in with Cage?
When they were spies. Oh, what was it? When they went to Russia together, and it was the Paul Schrader film, and he was he played like a 78-year-old man on his
Oh, The
final
Runner.
mission.
No.
No.
The Frozen Ground. Dying of the Light. Dying of the Light.
Dying of the Light. You got it. Nice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So they were in Dying of the Light together. Yeah.
Cool.
Which is not a bad. That's probably somewhere around like 3 on the Cage VOD.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's just.
Well, they also recut it, which I have not seen the recut
Oh
version.
yes, I want to see that. We got maybe
Paul
we'll do,
Schrader-
if we get like a lull next year, like if the streak breaks for a couple months, maybe we do that.
Maybe we do that. Maybe we do the recut, which is I think called Dark something, and
then we could do
that
Tokarev,
with,
too.
Well, we do that with Love and Tasha because
Oh
it's
yeah,
the same
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of.
Okay.
But we've got Colorado Space, and then I think February is going to be Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Quick question. I don't know if you're going to know the answer to this. Can I order a Region 2 copy of Tokarev? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, can I get like a
I don't
physical
know if it exists.
disc that says... Okay, I'm not... All right, I wasn't sure.
I found a version online, but I don't know if you can buy it. Like, I don't know.
All right, the
I
official
don't know-
version is the
is Rage.
DVD. It's okay. Okay.
It's a
Interesting.
very strange situation. But yeah, we'll be back next year for at least January for Colorado Space and February for Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Unbelievable.
If nothing comes out in March, maybe we'll do a whatever the Paul Schrader cut is with Love and Tasha in there.
Man, we're working up to 6 or 7 months straight. This is legendary. Like
Cage
no
chain.
no one sees this but us. No one has paid any attention to this, but this is unprecedented. Has there ever in the history of films been another actor to release 5 movies in a row like this, month after month?
I don't know. Probably
blown
not.
away by it.
But we are rocketing toward 100 movies. I think, as far as I can tell,
We're super close.
if my list is accurate, and I don't know that it necessarily is, I think we're at 93.
Holy crap.
So could be next year,
be
or
next
if not,
year.
early 2021.
You know what would be insane? There's that rumored movie, and I know there's a little bit of contention within the network about if it's going to be good or bad or should even be made, but there's that movie where Cage might play himself. You think they're going to get to play me? I said, I don't know, Nicolas Cage?
Yeah.
But anyway, what if that's his 100th movie? Like, that would be kind of fitting. It would be very thematic. Like, I'm played myself in my 100th movie. That could be something.
I'm still worried about that movie, but
I know.
we will see.
We'll
We will see. We will see. For all things Cage Club, you can go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/cageclub, or at cageclubpod on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, mailbag@cageclub.me. Come back next year,
Next year.
for Colorado Space and then Prisoners of the Ghostland. Go check out all 103 episodes or whatever of this, plus the 50 Cage Clubs revisited. Go check out all 26 shows in the network, including, like I mentioned before, we've got a new episode of Viva Pod Vegas coming up within a day or two of this being out. So if you're listening to this, Viva Pod Vegas for Loving You from 1957 will be out. Every Friday, Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, alternating the Tom Club.
Tom Club.
Cruise Club, Hanks for the Memories.
Fridays are for fun.
Fridays are for fun.
Fridays are for fun now.
Just go to cageclub.me/shows, poke around, 26 shows, 1,350 episodes or so. Lots of things going on. Just poke around, just say hi, mailbag@cageclub.me. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
And I'm Mike Manzi.
and we'll see you next time right here on Cage Club.